Hey, John here. So we got this 2019 Nissan Sentra. I believe the model is SV. Today we're going to be doing rear brakes, the rear brake shoes, right? Because that's always a pain in the butt. That's why I figured I'd get the camera. Let's get to it. Okay, so wheels off. You can't hear a thing, so nothing's touching, which is interesting. So hopefully this brake drum will come off. Let me get a hammer and tap that. So hopefully there's no rust ring preventing this to come off where the brake shoes are caught behind some rust. It's 2019, I don't expect that. And I see that there's no access port for, to put a tool here to back off, your star gear there. And I was just looking in the back, there's nothing there either. She's still smoking. So just one whack, two whacks, three whacks, it busted loose. At least it busted loose. I just turned the camera off too. Usually that's all it takes is just I had to get a bigger hammer, a couple of whacks, and what's going on there is probably, well, let's see. Yeah, see this, this just rusted on to here. Okay, like I said, the star gear, the traditional star gear that you take the brake tool, usually has an access port either on the drum, on the outside here, or from the inside, which this has none. But I'm not going to worry about that now. Everything looks actually clean here. This is, like I said, a newer vehicle. So I'm just going to dismantle this as is. There's no need to turn the star gear to get anything in. The rotor came off. We're all set here. These are self-adjusting anyways, but when it comes time to putting this rotor back on, then we'll adjust it because we want some friction on the I keep calling it rotor, on the drum there. But for right now, we can start dismantling this. And I'm probably going to start with, you probably can't see that. No, I'm sure you can. We're going to start with the bottom spring here, and whether you use a pair of pliers or a spring tool, regardless, I think this is going to be a pretty easy job. So for me, the tools that I'm going to be using is, this is like for body parts, like the little Christmas tree holder deal, to get plastic stuff. That's what I'm going to use. Maybe a pair of long nose needle nose pliers, and this is a spring tool, and probably just a screwdriver. That's all we're talking about here. So I think the first order of business, is take a picture of all this, right? Get a close-up of all your springs, how they are in terms of, you see how this this bend goes up, right? See how, just look at everything, take a picture. That way, if you get messed up, you can reference it. So I'm going to get in here and just take this spring out down here. Right, and I'm going to try to orientate my stuff the way it came off and try not to disturb it. That way we can put it back the way it was. These little clips, as opposed to the round one where you have a brake tool for that, you push in and, like the washer. These are pretty simple, and that's why I got this tool. You can use a screwdriver for this, but I just put it like this, give it a little tap. Yeah, it's caught on the thing here, so just give it a little tap. So now the next move is we can back these little keeps out. You reach from the back. If these are rusted, which oftentimes they rust almost completely out, you can replace them, but everything looks good here. So next move here, so we do have on this side here where the emergency cable, or the emergency brake, is going to operate the brake this way. So that piece, it's got a secondary piece behind it, like a little scissor action. So I'll start on this side, just taking this piece and just letting this, this is the old star gear kind of thing. Again, I leave it orientated, and again, take a picture. You see how this has the long side here that is on the front side. So when we put this back together, as opposed, because we're going to shorten this up, as opposed to the short side. So when you're taking everything apart, take pictures. Same thing here. the way this was, right? The short side, the long side, you know, is a, you know, where things were. Obviously this can only go one way, right? It was this way. You can't go this way because you wouldn't have. Yeah, just take pictures. All I'm saying. We're going to clean this up, and we're also going to go in about halfway here. I'm still going to clean this up, but because this is so good looking, not rusted at all. Normally, if they're rusty and questionable, I'm going to clean it up with brake clean. Don't get me wrong, but adding brake grease or never sees or anything like that is a good idea. However, when it looks this good, I don't mess with them because they're all free-flowing, everything's good to go. When you add brake grease or, you know, never sees or anything like that, it kind of attracts the brake dust and then things get gummy. So if this was all rusty, I would clean everything up and then definitely do, you know, either grease or brake grease or never sees. But this looks absolutely phenomenal. And even though it looks dirty here, where's my can of stuff? 1, 2, this is going to be shiny, I'll show you in a second. But again, I'm just leaving everything orientated. Did we just flip that? Orientated the way it is. And then the next piece is this spring, which is, everything's loosey-goosey now. So we could just reach in here and release, right? Hold this, release, but I'm going to keep this, again, orientated, yeah? The way it goes back on. So this piece here is what I was talking about with the secondary lever, and how I'm going to work this. Oh, I did forget a tool. Oh no, I didn't. So I told you the tools I'm using: screwdriver, this, that, and the other thing. A little pair of vice grips, right? So I'll lock onto this hex nut, and I'm going to use my Christmas tree holder here. You don't necessarily have to get it into the first rung here. Anywhere along here is good. And we're just going to separate this like so, and then with one hand we can hold it in place. You see how this is loosey-goosey now, and just get it off its plate, and then we could put, you know, keep it orientated, and we'll put the new brake exactly back on the way we just did that. But I have to go get it, so we're going to release this, and I'll get it to on the first rung. But now you can see we got a bigger throat in here, and then, like I said, you can just use one hand, right? Just for demonstration purposes. We can put it back on. Easy enough, right? So that's where we're at so far, but I'm going to get some brake clean in here and clean the rest of this crap up. It's relatively low miles on this car. I think it's less than 90. But see, I'm just cleaning everything up, right? Keeping everything simple. When this is stationary, when you wind this part, you see how it's just going, clicking, right? And it spreads this part out. If it was stationary, you would see. And it's usually up. But that's a 50-50 shot. Just regular brake grease. You can use never sees, but I just tend to stick with brake grease. Never sees is about the same stuff. The only problem I got with never sees is for some reason, even though you don't think you got it on you, like 6 days later you're like, where'd that come from? stuff just goes everywhere. So I'm just going to use some grease, get it back on the these are the contact points when it's rubbing back and forth, right? A couple of ways you can do this, but oh, this is not, I thought this used to be a deep cup. I guess it's getting a little worn out. So if this was deep rust instead of surface rust, you know, you would be basically just shining the rust and wouldn't get, you know, so then you'd have to do something else. But I'm just going to go in here and clean this up the best I can. This is actually in fantastic shape. So just using like a regular brush, probably could have gotten away with this, no problem. But I do have some abrasive, like the old green weenie kind of thing. That might work too. So I'll clean that better. Let's get to the brake stuff before I get too many particles in this stuff, and we'll put everything together and we'll clean this up a little better and go from there. So place. And then we just said take plenty of pictures. And of course I put it on backwards. So that's no problem, we'll get it right off. Flip her around. Dumbass. Alright, so now we can flip this around. So to orientate this, so you see how this is out, but it switches over. You want the pivot, I don't know, oh, we're not even looking at the same thing. The scissor part on the inside. So in other words, when it comes up here, you know, to the top, this spring, this top spring, doesn't go in this hole, but it does go in this little cavity up here, right? And so does the other one in terms of cavities go. So this notch goes up, right? As you can see, there's no notch, you know, here. So this notch goes up. But what we're dealing with is this teardrop hole here. I say teardrop, I don't know how to explain that little 90-degree deal. So we can get this spring in like so, and then I'm kind of just going to rest it here. And we're going to go ahead and drill this. I did to a certain extent. Sorry. So here's how it goes. If you drill it all the way down, right, it's going to be less of a chore to get it on because of the spring tension, but there's going to be more of a chore on spreading this out when it comes time to adjust it. So just know that. So let me, oh, I got a phone call. Hold on a second. So at this point, you're also welcome to put a little dab of grease on some contact points. Just for GP, I wouldn't get all crazy with it, but so our star gear, right? So if it's looking like this, we have to, so this is going to, this long side goes on the back side here. We're on the passenger side, by the way. And this long side here goes in the front. So you got the long side in the back towards the front of the car, and the long side of this fork on the rear part of this goes to the rear, right? So we're just going to go ahead and fit it in. And again, there's going to be some spring tension. So just moved. Long side goes to the back. And we'll get it in place like this. So from here, right, we have to put these two ears on the cylinder, right? The wheel cylinder. Are we up here? Where are we at? We're out of focus. We're not even close. So these two ears here have to spread out and go around the wheel cylinder. So, and then I do want to make sure, where's our little pins? Oh, one fell out. Oh, they both fell out. So make sure our little keeps are I just rest them in there at an angle. So they're there. Those keeps actually go through this little teardrop hole here, right? See these two little teardrop holes? That's where they belong. Not here, not down there, not there. Right there. So let's go ahead and get this thing situated to where we're going to spread this out. And again, these are rubber seals. So kind of be careful that we're not going to be pinching or poking. And you also want to be aware of our little fork deal here are not going to come out of its little ears, right? So we get one side started, and then I spread it this way. Now that one keep fell out. So, but from here I want to check and make sure, like, we're in the cylinder, right? We're not squishing our rubber. Everything is centered, but also our star gear, you know, the adjuster, is in the saddles. Now from here, there she is. Poke that in. So I'm going to do this front side first. So kind of just going to center it wherever everything looks, you know, free flowing and centered. And then with this, see how I'm holding it with my thumb? We're just going to get this below it a little bit and hold it with a thumb and take my little tool here, flip it upside down, push some pressure on it, and catch it right in the eye. We'll do it at an angle this time. It's catching just a part of that tear drop, so we'll go at an angle. This will work a little better. So it just slides in. So in other words, when we were going straight up, it was catching, like the edge was catching a, you know, a piece of this. Well, you get what I'm saying. Just put it at an angle so the two saddles don't have anything to catch on in terms of, you know, one of these cutouts. And then once you get it in place, whether you have to use a tool or not, just angle it for this. Angle it towards the back of the shoe here. This way it'll keep pressure going this way as your brake's going in and out. Push in and up. It's no problem, right? And then from there, just take whatever you need to rotate her into position. Now, from here, I'm going to make sure everything's locked in the center. And then we can use a spring tool or a pair of needle nose, whatever you are comfortable with. And put our last spring in place. That's just a matter of... I have a pair of pliers. Get these little... Oh, here we go. I do have a pair of pliers. It's hooked, but it needs to go around there. There we go. Alright, so from here, I want to make sure nothing is, you know, impeding. All our marks are, you know, where they're supposed to be, the rub marks. I'm looking in here where our wheel cylinder, nothing's impeding, nothing's pressing, everything's centered, and we're good to go there. Alright, so we're on. But as you can hear, just like when we took it off, totally nothing. So what we're going to do is probably 4 to 5 attempts. And again, let me grease this up. But 4 to 5 attempts on going up with the star gear. And how I'm going to do this is behind this little plate here. Can we even see that little plate? This little plate that goes across your star gear, there's just enough to get in there. And I always go up. I always start to go up, and then you can watch the... I guess I got to get in there and show you what I'm talking about. So the star gear that we're messing with is over here. But we want to watch this seam here separate. So obviously if you go the wrong way, it's already tight, it's not going to go. We need to spread this out. That's what I'm doing. And it's hard to show everything, especially in a garage like mine where we don't have light. But we'll start with the up. It might be down, but it is down. You know, a little more friction getting it on. You get what I'm saying? Yep. Still need more. Still need more. Alright, so I think we got to adjust it up good enough. Put a little number C's on there. We're good to go. And I'll probably put there we go. Yeah, so you don't want it tight, and you don't want it loose. There is a spot. This actually might be a hair too tight. Let me back that off a little bit. So it's almost perfect, but let's back it off a little bit. So we got to go in here and release this, release the one tab to get it off of there. And now we were going down, so just bend that down a little bit. Now we got to go up. Alright, so let's check the fluid and go from there. Alright, so just took it for a test drive. I looked at the fluid and everything's good. So this vehicle's back in action with the rear brakes, and as you saw, it's relatively easy. Again, probably take pictures to see where everything is. You don't need really any special tools. We could have got away with it with a screwdriver and really a pair of vice grips, or a pair of needle nose pliers. Anyways, that's all I got. Thanks for watching. See you later.